My 70th summer in Arizona was so scorching that even the old air conditioner in my small rented apartment seemed to be begging for mercy. I sat by the window gazing out at the sun-baked desert landscape, counting my monthly pension once again. After 40 years of hard work as an auto mechanic, a serious back injury, and an endless barrage of medical bills, all that remained of my once happy life was a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. My wife Mary had passed away 5 years ago, and my children had grown up, started families of their own, and scattered across major metropolises, remembering their old father only on major holidays. Solitude in America is a quiet, invisible poison that slowly eats away at your soul. At 71, I realized I was merely biding my time, struggling to pay for insurance and utility bills while buying the cheapest groceries at the supermarket. But on one of those dreary evenings, I stumbled upon an online video of an elderly American sitting on an oceanfront porch sipping fresh coconut juice with a genuine smile. The caption read, "The Philippines, where your pension turns into a dignified life and your heart finds a true home." The idea felt completely crazy. My American friends and former colleagues told me I had lost my mind. Moving to the other side of the world at such an advanced age was a massive risk. They scared me with stories of infections, language barriers, and foreign culture. But what did I have to lose? Nothing, except wringing loneliness and a daily struggle to survive. I packed 2 suitcases with essential belongings, sold my old pickup truck, bought a one-way ticket, and flew to Cebu. I remember stepping out of the airport terminal and feeling that humid tropical air filled with the scent of orchids in the sea for the first time. But that wasn't the most surprising part. What struck me to the core were the people. At the airport, a young taxi driver saw my gray hair and heavy bags. He didn't just help me load my luggage. He did it with such a genuine smile and reverence, as if I were his own beloved grandfather. In the Philippines, there is a beautiful traditional gesture called mano, or pagmamano, where younger people take the back of an elder's hand and touch it to their forehead as a sign of deep respect. When I witnessed this for the first time, tears welled up in my eyes. In the United States, seniors often become invisible to society. But here, age brings respect, care, and warmth. I decided to settle in a small coastal town near Dumaguete, a city famous for its university vibe and peaceful atmosphere. For a third of what I paid for a tiny box in Arizona, I was able to rent a cozy 2-story house with a sprawling veranda overlooking a quiet beach with snow-white sand and swaying palm trees. Now my mornings begin not with joint pain and anxious thoughts about bills, but with a cup of strong, local Barako coffee to the gentle whisper of ocean waves. Filipinos call this the good life, and they are absolutely right. My American pension, which was barely enough to scrape by back home, allows me to live here without denying myself anything. I can afford fresh seafood every single day, juicy shrimp, tuna, ripe mangoes that are as sweet as honey, and an endless array of fresh tropical fruits whose names I had never even heard before. My aching back stopped bothering me thanks to the warm climate and regular swimming in the ocean. But the greatest discovery was yet to come. I realized that Filipinos possess a unique gift for finding joy in every day, regardless of how much money is in their pockets. Their cheerful nature, faith, and incredible family warmth are infectious. I realized I had finally found what I flew across the ocean for: peace, respect, and light in my soul. Every morning I watch local fishermen head out to sea in their traditional outrigger boats, known as bangkas. There is an ancient grace and serenity in their movements. Philippine culture is deeply imbued with respect for nature and a spirit of gratitude for every lived day. There is none of that frantic rat race for material wealth that exhausts people in the West. If a Filipino has a cup of rice, a little fish, and loved ones nearby, they are already happy. This outlook forced me to completely reevaluate my own views. I learned to slow down, take deep breaths, and enjoy the simple things. A walk along the shore at sunrise, a chat with an old fruit vendor who always tosses an extra bunch of bananas into my basket just because. The warm ocean water, all of this fills my days with meaning. My life is no longer just waiting for the end. It has turned into an exciting journey full of new discoveries and deep inner peace that I dreamed of for years. Life in the Philippines quickly taught me that no one stays lonely here. Shortly after moving, I met my neighbors. The Santos family lived in a bamboo house nearby. The head of the family, Eduardo, worked as a fisherman, while his wife, Maria, raised their 3 children and ran a small sari-sari store on the street corner. On my very first weekend, they invited me to a family celebration, their youngest daughter's birthday. I expected a modest gathering, but I stepped into a true festival of joy. In the yard stood a large spit roasting a lechon, a whole pig with crispy golden skin, the aroma of which made you forget everything else in the world. The tables were overflowing with traditional dishes. Pancit, thin noodles symbolizing a long and happy life. Pork adobo braised in soy sauce and vinegar. And of course, the famous halo halo dessert, a colorful mix of shaved ice, sweet milk, bright purple ube, and tropical fruits. Yet the ultimate staple of any Filipino celebration is karaoke. Filipinos sing anytime, anywhere. When they are happy, when they are sad, when it rains, or when the sun shines. Music runs through their veins. That evening, Eduardo practically forced a microphone into my hands. I hadn't sung in 20 years, but to the encouraging applause of the whole extended family and loud shouts of, "Go, Uncle Bill!" I belt out Frank Sinatra's My Way. When I finished, the entire street erupted into applause, and little children ran up to hug me. At that moment, for the first time in years, I felt like part of a giant, warm family. In the Philippines, there is a grand tradition called Bayanihan, a spirit of communal unity and cooperation, where neighbors come together to help one another without asking for anything in return. When a severe tropical storm hit our region, the wooden fence on my veranda was torn down by gusts of wind. Before I even had time to get upset, Eduardo, his brothers, and his sons were already standing at my door with tools. In a couple of hours, they not only fixed the fence, but also reinforced the roof of my house. While Maria brought over a bowl of piping hot sinigang soup with its signature sour tamarind broth so I wouldn't catch a cold. They refused to take any money. Eduardo simply patted my shoulder and said in his sincere English, "Uncle Bill, we are neighbors, and neighbors are family." Those words pierced my heart. In America, people can live side by side for 10 years and never know each other's names. But here I found true brothers and sisters. Every evening we gather on the shore to watch the breathtaking Filipino sunset as the sky paints itself in wild shades of purple, pink, and fiery orange. Children run near the water. Adults laugh. A guitar plays softly in the distance, and I sit in my rocking chair realizing I am 71 years old, but I have never been as rich as I am right now. My wealth isn't numbers in a bank account, it's the genuine smiles of people who welcomed a stranger from a distant land as their own father and grandfather. Filipinos know how to support one another through any hardship. Regardless of financial struggles or natural disasters, they preserve incredible resilience and light in their hearts. Their ability to find a reason to smile even in the toughest moments became my greatest lesson in wisdom. I began attending local fiestas, traditional festivals honoring the patron saints of towns and villages. They are a riot of color, street dancing, and endless hospitality. You can walk into almost any home and the host will sit you down and feed you their best dishes. There is no such thing as an uninvited guest here. I've learned a bit of the local dialect, and even though my accent makes locals chuckle good-naturedly, they always appreciate my efforts to understand their tongue. In these moments, I realize how wrong those people are who seek happiness in luxury items or high status. Real happiness hides in a warm conversation on a balmy evening, in children's laughter on the street, in the readiness to extend a helping hand, and in the certainty that if a storm comes tomorrow, you won't face it alone. They say love is a privilege reserved for the young, but the Philippines proves that true feelings know no age limit. A year after my move, I met Elena. She was 52 years old, worked as an elementary school teacher at a local school, and cared for her elderly parents. She had kind, radiant brown eyes and a soft, soothing voice. Our meeting happened by chance. I was trying to explain to a vendor at the local market that I wanted a ripe papaya, not a green one for soup, and Elena stepped in to help, translating our conversation into Tagalog. We started talking, taking walks along the seaside promenade, admiring an old 16th century Spanish church, and sharing our life stories. She had lost her husband many years ago and dedicated herself entirely to raising her children and serving her community. In her eyes, there was no greed or desire to move to America. On the contrary, she genuinely loved her land, her culture, and she taught me to see beauty in the simplest things. With Elena, my life burst into entirely new colors. We started traveling across the archipelago. I saw the incredible chocolate hills on the island of Bohol, swam in the crystal clear lagoons of El Nido and Palawan, where the water is so transparent that boats seem to float on air, and hand-fed massive yet completely harmless whale sharks in Oslab. Together, we attended Sunday services at the local Catholic church, where the choir's singing moved me to tears. Faith for Filipinos isn't just a ritual, it is the foundation of their lives, the source of their inexhaustible hope and kindness. My children back in the U.S., with whom I now talk via video calls much more frequently, couldn't believe the changes in me at first. My daughter once told me, "Dad, you look 10 years younger, and your voice is full of life again." I smiled and replied that the secret was simple. I had stopped merely surviving and started living. It has been 2 years since I first stepped onto Philippine soil. Yesterday, Elena and I held a modest wedding ceremony on the ocean shore. Our entire small village came to celebrate. There was plenty of music, dancing, heartfelt toasts, lechon, and of course, karaoke late into the night. I stood on the sand, holding my beloved woman's hand, looking up at the starry tropical sky, thinking about how wondrous fate can be. Life doesn't end at 70. It can simply open a new, most beautiful chapter if you are brave enough to step into the unknown. The Philippines became more than just a retirement destination for me. It gave me a second chance, restored my health, and surrounded me with love and a real family. Elena and I often spend our evenings planning our future. We want to start a small garden near our house to grow orchids and vegetables and help the local elementary school buy books and learning materials. It gives me an incredible sense of purpose. I no longer feel like a useless old man cast aside to the margins of life. I feel needed, loved, and full of vitality. Every morning I wake up with deep gratitude to God and to this amazing country for giving me a second wind. When other American retirees ask me online if I regret my decision to swap my comfortable routine for a tropical island, I always answer with a single phrase. My only regret is that I didn't come here 20 years sooner.
Here, under the warm Philippine sun, among the kindest and most compassionate people on the planet, I have finally found my true home. The Philippines taught me that age is just a number on a passport, and true happiness is measured not by wealth, but by how much warmth and love you give to those around you, and how much you receive in return.